This is Scott Kaplan and Crew Tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM ESPN Radio. SoCal Sports Talk. Here's Scott Kaplan, Alex Padilla, and John Browner.
Hey, great friends. What's happening today? It is an amazing day in sports in San Diego. Truly an incredible day, because for all the speculation and all the reports today, at about 9 a.m. this morning, the news started to come out that the Padres are about to consummate a deal with the Washington Nationals. And when it first came out, it was really just about Juan Soto. I mean, that was kind of the primary piece in all of this. And then Josh Bell, the first baseman from the Nationals, not nearly as well known. But once you hear it's Juan Soto and Josh Bell, and you started to see the names that were associated with the Padres side, C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, I'll get deeper into the details in a second. But once you heard it was Soto and Bell, you had to put your hat on and go, okay, that must mean the end of Eric Hosmer. And then, of course, it just turns into Hosmer could nix the deal if he wanted to. So we're going to get into all the details, but truly an incredible day, because let me just say one thing. For every Padres fan that is listening right now that is scarred, because for so many years you were told this ownership will never be able to compete with the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Giants or the Cubs or the Mets or whoever the big money teams are. This ownership will never be able to compete because they don't have that kind of money in local TV rights deals. And what Peter Seidler is showing you is that's nonsense. This whole small market, big TV deal, small TV deal, it ultimately comes down to, do you have the money and do you have the balls? And Peter Seidler is showing you that his group has the money for sure. And Peter and man, AJ's back to where we started in 2015, getting rid of the farm and bringing in stars. So it's an amazing day. We're in the 7 Mile Casino Studios, 7milecasino.com. I'm just blown away by what happened earlier today. So let me bring in Grande and the Brown Man and say good afternoon, fellas. Just opening initial thoughts on this Soto Bell deal. And again, we can go deeper into the details, which we will. Mm-hmm. But Alex, we said we weren't getting excited the entire first half of the season. We maintained even keel.
Did great.
Here we are, second half of the season, and the Padres have done something that I'm going to say most Padre fans probably did not believe they could actually really ultimately do.
Yeah, I am curious to see what Browner's going to say, because I'll tell you that I know that the group of friends that I'm in, those battle scars are there, those wounds are there. So every single person, even after tweets were like, no, this deal gets done regardless of Hosmer, even after that, people are still like, I don't know, he could still be a Dodger. It's still that pain of last year and just the years of disappointment is still there. But what Peter Seidler, and I'll give AJ credit because he's the one that's pulling the strings and he's making all these moves. But you can look around baseball and there is not a lot of Peter Seidlers out there. There's just not. Like, you look at teams, the Orioles are competing and they're trading off their guys. The Reds are god awful, and the two guys they got rid of. So, we were there not that long ago. I say we as like everybody that's a San Diego Padre fan. So I give all the credit to that man. I mean, I don't know the ownership group like you do, Scott, but he's the face right now, and he's the one that's the owner now. It's crazy. It is crazy to think about where this franchise was just when I moved here in 2006 to now. It's insane. It's incredible. It's awesome. It's fun.
Yeah, because again, I'm telling you right now,
because even if it doesn't work out, this is all fun. This is all, like you're not the team getting rid of Soto, and you're not the team getting rid of guys. You're now the team getting guys, which is
and by the way, different. It's not like you're a game or two behind the Dodgers in the standings. I mean, you're 12 games back.
Yeah.
So this isn't necessarily about, hey, we got to hurry up, catch these guys and win the division. This is, let's build a team that's ready to go for the postseason, regardless of where you get in, So that's the commitment from Padres ownership is unlike anything we'd ever seen, because the previous ownership, and I'm calling out John Moores by name, the previous ownership brainwashed this community that build us a stadium, we'll be competitive every year. Then after the stadium was built, they brainwashed the community to believe we can't compete because we're a small market. The Dodgers have a $250 million local television deal. The Padres only have a $50 million local television deal. And those aren't the actual real numbers. I'm just making the point in the difference of the size. So we were brainwashed that, sorry, we're going to have to give you a great experience at Petco. We're going to have to put in local craft beers. We're going to have to put in restaurants from all over town. Sorry, we're a great family entertainment experience, but winning's not part of what we do. And then when Ron Fowler said, let the Dodger fans come, let's take their money and let's build a better team, to me, that was kind of the beginning of it. And then once Peter Seidler was able to get Ron Fowler out of the way, and I'm saying it because Seidler's plan was always to be the guy running the franchise, but because of his health issues at the time, he couldn't, so he needed Ron, and Ron was a great local dignitary. Now that he's got Ron out of the way, Seidler can go pedal to the metal because Seidler he's a big-time money guy, and he's a guy who wants to win desperately. And he once told me an amazing thing, Peter Seidler. He said, all of your investors can afford to lose, but they want to win. And that's the exact same thing Peter Seidler is saying to his investors. You guys can afford to lose. I mean, you're not going to lose because all your money's going in and the franchise's value is only going up. You can afford to lose, but we want to win. And that's Peter Seidler's philosophy. I'm going to ramble all day long. Browner, jump in here. What do you say, man?
Today's award goes to the cheering, goes for the admiration, goes for the front office and the ownerships. That's what today's about. Them giving the green light to go do this, and Preller being able to pull it off in conjunction with Scott Boras. Like, this is the business of baseball at its highest. Like, so the Padres are national news today. National news. They're leading all the sports shows. Mm-hmm. The San Diego Padres, I'm going to repeat that for people. They're leading national sports stories. They're now being talked about having two generational players on the same team. The San Diego Padres have done that. AJ Preller and the ownership group have worked that magic. They have opened that checkbook. And look at what you got. Look at what you got. So today, celebrate your owner, celebrate your general manager, because a lot of people wanted him fired.
Still do if you don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, listen, let me just say something.
This deal is going to go beyond this year.
Right.
This deal goes far beyond this year.
Correct. And the brilliance of the deal, let me just say this. The brilliance of what Preller has pulled off. And again, I've been critical of Preller in the past, but I've also always given credit where credit is due. The brilliance of the deal that Preller has pulled off today is that, one, you confirm what we all knew, which was everybody wanted to get rid of Eric Hosmer. So that's number one. and you've upgraded the position tremendously. I believe you've upgraded the position tremendously with Josh Bell over Eric Hosmer. So that's number one. Two, getting Soto with 2.5 years of control is incredible. Truly incredible. To improve the first base position, lose a player that you've been trying to get rid of, and then get the generational talent that everybody in baseball was after. And to give up C.J. Abrams, nice young player. Who knows? Yes. May turn out to be a great player. Mackenzie Gore, he was good at one time this year. Hasn't been able to maintain it. Definitely has some sort of injury. Who knows what's going to happen to Mackenzie Gore? The other guys, all prospects, all guys who are just names in a system. So to have pulled off the trade yesterday to get an all-star closer that this team desperately needed, and to have enough left in the bank to go get the two players that he's getting, Soto and Bell. And again, here's the brilliance of it all. Let's say that the Padres farm system has been completely depleted, essentially, of attractive assets. Let's say you get to, I don't know, the beginning of the 2024 season. You still have Soto on your team, but you don't have him signed for a long-term deal. At that point, you'll likely be able to replenish your minor league system by trading Soto to somebody who wants to rent him because they're in the middle of a massive playoff race. So your choice is either sign Soto and give him the massive amount of money and say, we're going to take Soto, Tatis, and Machado, and they're going to be our guys. You either can do that, or if when you decide that you can't afford Soto, when you choose to trade him, theoretically, you'll likely be able to replenish your minor league system with 3, 4, 5 players. So it really was an absolutely brilliant / ballsy move by the Padres to pull off what they did today.
Man, it's crazy.
Rejoice.
It's crazy. I think I'm still
real.
in shock.
It's happening.
You know? I'm still in shock.
It's happening.
I'm still in shock.
What? But again, what?
Be crazy.
Preller had all.
Are they going to be available tonight? Can they make it? I guarantee you this: Siler will send that PJ for both those dudes.
Oh,
They're not,
yeah.
You know, Soto ain't flying commercial over here.
No, they don't have to send
tickets.
They don't have to send a PJ. They don't even have to do it. You know, either they already did it and they were in position, or you know they got ways of doing this with private jets.
I'm saying there's charters over there, but all I'm saying is, I legitimately woke up today expecting not this, and the fact that it happened, it not only did it significantly improve your roster, everything that I've been telling you that they needed, they got. They got a power hitting outfielder, and at the same time, they got a kind of a power hitting first baseman too, who is having a career year because he's going to be a free agent, and he's incredibly motivated to keep being really good so he can get paid this offseason. Secondly, we talk about the farm system and replenishing and this and that. The Padres got Eric Hosmer because they offered him the most money.
Right.
The Padres got Manny Machado because they offered him the most money.
Correct.
Now you have built this fun culture in this clubhouse with Joe Musgrove getting signed this week, with Josh Hader getting traded yesterday, with Fernando Tatis, with Manny Machado, now with Juan Soto. This isn't just like, oh, they're going to pay me the most, I'll go there. This is the kind of place now, like Musgrove did, where I'll take less to go there kind of place because of what they're building here. The Dodgers have been great for a decade. They have a head start. That's why their farm system's still top notch because they've been doing it for 10, 12 years. The Padres are in the not infant stages, but they are in like the elementary stages of what the Dodgers are doing.
Still a baby.
But the longer you do this, the longer. I mean, the Padres. Let's take away 2020. They still haven't had a winning record in a really long time. So they're building to what the Dodgers have been doing, and this is a ridiculous step up into what the Dodgers have been doing.
See, your point though is right on because even when they signed Hosmer and they gave Will Myers money that was uncharacteristic at the time to then get Machado and then go give Tatis the long-term deal and then this week to give Hosmer the money, what we're seeing from the Padres ownership is something that no other Padres ownership has ever done before. Yeah. They're playing in the top 5 game rather than in the bottom 5 game, meaning for years, the top 5 was always just the same guys, Yankees, Dodgers, I mean, just the teams that could afford to play there. And teams like Kansas City and Tampa Bay and Oakland and even San Diego had to find ways to be ultra creative to become good baseball teams. Because back in the Jake Peavy, Phil Nevin, Trevor Hoffman kind of teams, those were not big money rosters. They made it to the postseason because Kevin Towers was maneuvering deals all season long. That wasn't because they had an open checkbook. This right here, this is playing with the big boys. Mm-hmm. This is saying it doesn't matter that we're in San Diego. It doesn't matter what market size we are for television. It doesn't matter what our television deal is worth. We can make a championship run and we can spend championship money here in this town. And I'm just telling you, man, listen, for scarred Padre fans, I'll just say one last thing. When I saw all this, I was like, okay, but still not done. Hey, Dodgers could still swoop in. I mean, they could get these guys. People could get hurt. They could get them and they still might not win. I mean, like that's the mentality, of a scarred Padres observer. Look at Browner with that face.
You guys, man, this scarred Padre madness, man. Listen, you have been given the magical elixir, okay? Let it flow all over you. Let it heal all your scabs, wounds, and scars, okay? It's over. Those days are over. You have now seen, whether it works or not, last year, they got the rug pulled from underneath them. They tried to get Scherzer. They just got the rug pulled from under them. It happens. He learned. He gave them a better offer, better than the Cardinals, better than the Dodgers, better than the Yankees. When I saw people started making moves, I'm like, uh-oh, so they losing prospects? They losing prospects? Oh, this might happen. This is for real. And here we are. It's us now. It's us.
Crazy to think the starting 9 tonight, tomorrow, whenever they're available.
Probably tomorrow.
None of them will be homegrown.
And that's okay.
Right.
And that's okay.
And there's no right or wrong way of doing it. The best players the Dodgers have, take away Will Smith, they're not homegrown.
Right.
No, I mean,
Freddie Betts, Justin Turner, Freddie Furman, right. Trey Turner. Like, you're looking at Max Muncy, you're looking at guys that they're not homegrown.
And let me say this, too,
there's no right or wrong way.
And there's no badge of honor. There's no badge of honor because your team is homegrown or it's bought, Right. Listen, I've already been getting hit up by Dodger fans on my timeline on Twitter. Hey, Cap, your Padres can now buy their championship just the way you guys always said the Dodgers bought their championship. Great.
And?
Because let me tell you something. Kansas City would love to be able to buy a championship. Tampa Bay, Oakland, teams that I've mentioned that are always bottom feeders, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. These fan bases would love for their ownership to go out and buy a competitive ball club. Would love it.
Listen, now, reward these people. Sell out. Every game.
Oh, dude, they're already.
Every game.
That's one thing that the Padres fan base, I always have been giving them credit for this year and last year. Like, they have stepped up. The Padres fan base has evolved, has expanded since the Chargers left, and they've gone all in at Petco Park. I was there on Sunday. I told you, dude, Scott, you weren't here. I was in like section whatever, 1 or whatever, and I was in the dead freaking heat in the sun. I was getting no shade that game whatsoever. I was like, you know what? I'll just move. I'll find a spot in the shade. There was no spot in the shade. It was sold out. Like it's like nowhere to go. You watch games on a Monday night. Last night, it's not packed, but there's still a really good crowd for a Monday night game against the Rockies. Like I think the Padres, I'll look it up right now. I think they're 5th in attendance in all of baseball.
Yeah.
Can't
let me do this.
More.
No, let me say this. Today's a great day. And we're going to be talking a lot about it as the afternoon goes on. There are other stories, but I don't know that they're even going to make it into this show today.
Dude.
Seriously, I mean, when you have a massive breaking news story.
They got to send AJ Preller a gift basket, dude, because the Dolphins, my God.
Oh, dude. Yeah, the Miami Dolphins could be like at least I think the Miami Dolphins will make a lot of national news with the suspension of their owner today. And by the way, I think it's interesting that the owner of the Dolphins was suspended the day after the Deshaun Watson thing.
Yeah.
I'll talk about, I guess
look over here.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'll talk about it a little bit, but really, as you said from the beginning, Browner, and rightly so, the Padres are now national news. They are a team that everybody's talking about. I was watching a lot of coverage this morning on the MLB Network, and it's just wall to wall about how gutsy this move is by AJ Preller and by Padres ownership. So that's really going to be the primary focus of today's broadcast. So stay with us, everybody. A lot more details on this massive trade that most Padre fans could never have dreamt the Padres would be in this position, but they are. And it's going to make the second half of this season so damn exciting. And think about this. We're talking about Soto and Bell. We're talking about the departure of Hosmer. We're talking about the addition of Hader. Dude, if Fernando Tatis Jr. comes back and is who he is, think about what you're infusing into this lineup. And we'll talk about Tatis and his rehab and what he's already starting to do coming up in just a couple of minutes. Before I do, I want to just mention everybody real quick. Our friends at Mazda of Escondido, MazdaofEscondido.com. Here's why. So in the next month, Alan, the general manager, has 50 new 2022 and 2023 Mazda products, 22 and 23s this month. Okay. Most other stores completely sold out, but not the case at Mazda of Escondido. So a lot of times now with car dealers, you're going to their place, you're putting in an order, and then it's like, I got to wait. And then finally your car comes in. Not the case. You can come in, take a test drive, buy, and walk out that day with your brand new Mazda. And I've told you how much your used cars are worth with regards to what Alan is paying, meaning he's paying more than ever before for used cars. So new Mazda's in, bring your used car. You get more than ever on your used car. Now you're in that brand new Mazda product, and it's a really great deal for you. Mazda of Escondido on the corner of the 15 and the 78 in the Escondido Auto Park. Mazda of Escondido, MazdaofEscondido.com. Damn, dude. What a day. By the way, I hosted Rome yesterday, and I got all this Deshaun Watson news. It would have been much better to host Rome today with this.
Yep.
Would have been like 10 times better. I'll tell you that right now.
Someone just tweeted. Oh my God. I'll show you guys after the break. It's hilarious.
All right. Listen, we're in the 7 Mile Casino Studios, 7milecasino.com. This is an incredible day in San Diego Padres history, and I'm so happy for this fan base. And I'll explain why I'm happy for the fan base. Coming right back from the 7 Mile Casino Studios, this is Kaplan and Crew with Grande and the Brown Man.
We'll be right back with more of Scott Kaplan and Crew tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM ESPN Radio. SoCal Sports Talk.
You're watching Kaplan and Crew tonight, powered by the mightier 1090 AM ESPN Radio and Your View, featuring the best sports talk in SoCal.
Dominating the SoCal radio airwaves for over 20 years. Join Scott Kaplan, Alex Padilla, and John Browner for Kaplan and Crew every Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. only on the mightier 1090 ESPN Radio, SoCal Sports Talk, and the mightier1090.com.
Please welcome in tax attorney Adam Brewer. Adam, thanks so much for joining us again on Main Street Living.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to be back.
So, of course, we have more tax questions for you. First of all, what are the types of business entities that business owners can use?
Yeah, I had a feeling you'd ask this question. So this time of year, this is when, business owners probably just got handed a pretty big tax bill. And so naturally, the next question is, how can they save taxes? How can they save on taxes? And so that's where these business entities really, they may come in. So yeah, what we're looking at is corporations or limited liability companies, more commonly called LLCs. So definitely by using either a corporation or an LLC, business owners may be able to really save on taxes. For the most part, when we talk about tax savings, we're looking at like an S Corp election. And so again, an LLC can do that, a corporation can do that. But the net result is you want to save on what's called self-employment tax. So for 2022, a business owner is going to, by default, pay self-employment tax on the first $147,000 of taxable income. So that's 15.3%. By doing an S Corp election, putting yourself on payroll, you can really drive down how much of your income you have to pay that 15.3% at. Beyond the tax savings, it just offers an extra level of protection between the business owner's personal assets, say their home, and their business operation. So, no matter what business you operate, you're going to have some exposure to liability. So an entity like a corporation, like an LLC, it just puts that extra level of protection between the business and then what the owner has on their personal side.
Yeah, well, clearly a plethora of information that you always provide to us, Adam. We appreciate you being on the show. Where can our viewers get in touch with you for more tax help?
Yeah, like always, they can visit my website, triumphovertax.com, or feel free to pick up the phone. You can always give me a call, 619-591-9500.
The 2022 San Diego Loyal season continues. Live on Your View and YourView.com. Watch the San Diego Loyal host the San Antonio FC Saturday, August 6th at 7 p.m. Come join us at Torero Stadium and support San Diego Pride Night. The first 3,000 fans will receive a free SD Loyal Pride hat. Tickets are available. San Diego Loyal versus the San Antonio FC Saturday, August 6th on Your View.
Welcome back. This is Scott Kaplan and Crew Tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM ESPN Radio. SoCal Sports Talk. Here's Scott Kaplan, John Browner, and Alex Padilla.
Hey, great friends, what's happening? We welcome you back inside the 7 Mile Casino Studios, 7milecasino.com. It's Kaplan and Crew with Grande and the Brown Man, and what a day in San Diego sports. And the Padres ownership showing off the balls, really, and the ability, to like pull off a massive trade. Like it's one thing to have it in mind. It's another thing to actually be able to execute it. But more than anything, this ownership group to have the money, to be willing to spend the money. And by the way, Peter Seidler, the owner of the Padres, just for anybody that doesn't remember this kind of stuff, you got to remember his grandfather was Old Man O'Malley, who was the original owner of the Dodgers, who moved him out from Brooklyn. The Dodgers are an obsession for Peter Seidler. Wanting to beat the Dodgers is a lifelong obsession for Peter Seidler. So it's just an incredible day, an insane move. Most Padre fans would never have believed it would happen. So here we are. So Grande, Brown Man, Casey Stern is here. And Casey is, he has a podcast that it seems like a lot of like MLB execs listen to, because Casey had 12 years on Sirius XM talking baseball on their MLB network. And he's been doing trade talk every day on his podcast. And so thought, you know what? We had him on Rome yesterday. He was great. He was a huge hit. Everybody loved him. I said, let's bring him on today. And we were lucky. This trade got done early. It didn't go all the way to the deadline. It got done earlier in the day. So here's Casey Stern back with us, this time on Kaplan and Crew. What's up, Casey? How you doing, man?
What's going on, Cap? How you doing, man? Good to be with you guys.
Yeah. That shirt in the background. Prospects are cool. Parades are cooler, or however it goes.
Just like that.
That's a t-shirt.
It's the trademark. You did a good job. Just like that.
Thanks. The t-shirt. Let me tell you something, dude. If you tell people how to buy one, because we're selling a lot of merch around here right now. If you tell people how to get one, I think Padre fans are going to love this shirt.
Yeah, so there's two ways. You can go to the Believe Network, which you can get right off of my Twitter, and you'll see I have links from the last couple of days where I've got a couple of different colors. I've got specifically a Mets one because I know Mets fans were bugging me. The one that you just showed is available also at Cotton Bureau. If you go on my Twitter at Casey Stern, you'll see that I basically push them to no end. So, plenty of ways to get those. It's so funny, too, because you mentioned the Dodgers. So randomly, this came out of a rant that I was doing on radio in 2015. And it was not like one of those, with no offense to Jim Nantz. It wasn't like I was preparing how the Masters was going to end and thought that anybody would remember any of this stuff. But it was because of the fact that at the time, and think about how this panned out, they did not want to trade a Julio Urias, who at the time was like 14 years old, I think, for Cole Hamels, who was still at the high-end version of Cole Hamels when they had Kershaw and Greinke. And it ended up taking 5 years for Julio Urias to have the 3 big innings in a World Series. And the year that this happened, the Dodgers went home in 1 round to the Mets in 5 games, and DeGrom beat them in the 5th game. You have to push the pedal down. Take that to an exorbitantly higher level in this kind of deal, because this is the big look. It's prospects, but this is the biggest haul of prospects we've seen in any deadline deal in the history of Major League Baseball. And that almost needs to be stated again. In the history of the sport, there has never been a deal with more perceived young talent in one trade that has ever happened at a deadline in Major League Baseball before.
At the same time, Casey, isn't there some like ridiculous stat about there's never been a guy at the age that Soto is to be traded? Like there's never been a 23-year-old all-star traded midseason. There's never been a guy under 24 with X amount of home runs to be traded. Like, so to get this large haul, it's a, I don't know, whatever term you want to call Soto. It's Juan Soto is worth it.
Yeah, look, without a doubt, you know what I've been saying, guys, is like to use the old baseball card. They don't care about baseball cards. People as old as Scott and I are, they used to. Used to have the 1 of 1, like my card's 1 of 37. Mm-hmm. I've been saying this is 1 of 1. That's what Juan Soto is. It's the 1 of 1 baseball card, because think about this. There are 1,200 some odd at bats before you kind of look at it and you say, okay, now I get a guy's career. There are over 200 players in the league currently that have that many ABs. The list of players who have walked more than they've struck out is a 1 of 1 list. He's the only player in the sport. This is a guy who is young, who is continuously getting better. He'll get better defensively. He's a guy who's learning his craft. He was 19 when he came in. And to your point, the most fascinating part of this deal that I think people need to understand, it's not a guarantee you're going to sign him long term. How am I going to have Machado, Tatis, pay everybody, all those things? You know, you don't want to have a house as an organization and, hey, I got a kitchen and a bedroom, but I got nothing else because all my money's in there. You got to spread it around. But even if they have him and take 2 shots, let's say next year they beat the Dodgers for the division, they win a World Series. Even if you had to turn them around and trade them guys at a deadline in 2 years, you'll then get back at least half of what you gave up as a rental all the way back into your system, and it will have been well worth it financially and for your fan base. So kudos to the Padres, and the risk that they have, barring injury, is not that large with Soto.
The idea that people keep talking about the picks, I find, because like you said, this is the most picks that have ever been given away in a trade of this nature. What are the chances that one of these picks becomes Juan Soto? Like, you've got the today version of what you hope one of these guys will be, let alone 2 of them. Like, 2 of these guys are not going to be on the level of Juan Soto. So the idea that you gave them a handful of, I don't know, for a gigantic box of, I know what this is, to me, it's not even a gamble. This was an easy decision.
Yeah, look, I'm with you. And I think, here's the thing. The answer is 0, by the way. There's no chance. Now, look, it's like, you know, Dumb and Dumber. You're saying there's a chance. Look, there ain't no chance. None of these guys going to be Soto. Because here's the thing. We don't know guarantee about his health the rest of his career, but you could clearly say he's a Hall of Fame talent. This is a Hall of Fame talent. Now, I don't know what the kid Abrams is going to be. He's a guy who right now is going to play shortstop in the league and have a chance to be a really good player. I've always liked Mackenzie Gore. I like some of the names they have there that could be, you know, certainly star talents. Are any of them going to be Soto? No, 0. And by the way, Julio Urias has never become Cole Hamels either, going back to that deal, by the way. So it never happened. Go tell me who the guys were that the Astros traded for Verlander when they got him in 2017. Nobody, other than these family members of those prospects, nobody knows who the hell they are.
How about the Mookie Betts deal?
Who they are.
Yeah, just look at the Mookie Betts deal. I mean, you Verdugo, sure, but everybody else hasn't panned out to what the Red Sox thought they were going to be. You know, I know that it's just like at the very most ideal thing for Robert Hassel, he turns into Juan Soto, like Browner said, but the chances of that happening, like, that's a chance. You already know what you got with Soto.
Right. Well, let me just ask you guys a question, though. You know, for all this talk about prospects, you know, we say on one side, the Padres have given the largest package that anybody's ever traded for Soto and Bell. Thank you, Browner. But really, like, we know who Gore is at this point. We know who Abrams is at this point. And unless you're really following the Padres system, which I can tell you I don't, and I know a lot of our listeners don't, Casey, maybe if you know these guys, Hassel, Wood, and Susana, I mean, they're just prospects in a system. I have not seen them. I don't know what they're all about. So for all this talk about they gave up this monster package, I don't know what those other 3 guys are ranked in the Padres system, which, by the way, is no longer a top farm system anymore. So this whole idea of giving away the farm, hey, if you're going for it right now and you got the guts and the courage and the money to go do it, we were conditioned around here forever, Casey, to believe that the Padres couldn't keep up with all these other teams financially. That thing's out the window. So we're Padre fans as a fan base are obviously celebrating this.
2 things. One, let's start with the kids. From what I know what you know. We all know the same thing. We see the videos of the kids and everybody's doing great. Everybody who is, it's like what I always say, like, remember when Brian Bruxton first came into the league and he was having struggles? And I try to explain to people talking to young kids like that over the years, these kids have never struggled. They're always man among boys. So all these guys have great stats and plus stuff, and they've all done this and that. The ceiling of Wood seems to be really high. Hassel, clearly one of the best bats that you've got of any of the kids that are around in terms of prospects, but neither of those guys are ever going to be Soto. The other thing is, to your point, this isn't Yasmani Grandal and Matt Kemp. I remember being at winter meetings in San Diego, and I remember walking to my hotel. This is true. After those deals broke down, I thought Disneyland had moved there from the 5 freeway. We just went all the way. Like, it was like people dancing around like Laverne and Shirley. It was amazing. And that was a pipe dream. And you had older players, and who knew that was the Padres trying to be relevant. You're talking about a Juan Soto. You've got right now Mike Trout when healthy. You've got Shohei Ohtani, and you've got Juan Soto. That's where he is. He's probably the 3rd best player in this sport. All right. I'd rather have him than Ronald Acuna Jr. I'd rather have him than Fernando Tatis Jr. for me, because when you look at the impact on the incline, this dude was 19 years old hitting home runs off Garrett Cole in the World Series. He didn't even know what the hell he was doing yet. Juan Soto is an untapped resource, and he's actually going to get better as Padre fans watch him here in the next 3 years or longer.
All right, we're talking to Casey Stern here this afternoon. It's Kaplan and Crew with Grande and the Brown Man from the 7 Mile Casino Studios, 7milecasino.com. Listen, Casey has a podcast. If you're a baseball fan, this is for you. It's called Unfiltered with Casey Stern. It's part of the Believe podcast network. You know, we've had a lot of work with Believe here over the years. For 12 years, he was on MLB Network on Sirius Satellite Radio. You may also know the name because yesterday Lawhead was saying he was a big Casey Stern fan because Lawhead loved him when he was filling in on Turner Sports for Ernie Johnson, and he was working the NCAA tournament or NBA games doing, the studio show. So Casey's been around the block, but baseball is really his specialty. Casey, can you jump in on this conversation, which is Eric Hosmer is apparently refusing to go? Have you heard about this part of the story?
Oh yeah, I know where we're at with that too now. Yeah, so you when this deal first broke, because the Padres were going to pay all the money. It's $39 million that's left over 3 years, and they're trying to move Hosmer. But Hosmer has a no trade list, and when you make a no trade list, and look, he had at that time in his career earned those kind of things. And by the way, Scott Boras is his agent, right? So he got the no trade list. He didn't want to go to DC. So now what happens is behind the scenes, they offer him compensation. We'll give you an island in Bora Bora, and here's how much happens. And Scott represents, by the way, some of the kids that are in this deal, right? So there's some greasing and all of that. The Padres realize he's not going to go to DC. And by the way, who could blame him? No matter what you're getting paid. You want to talk about sacrificing a team? Jacob deGrom's making his return to a dejected team that just lost Soto and Bell. It's going to be, if he wasn't on a pitch count tonight, he'd be throwing a no-hitter. I mean, literally, it will be combined if there is one now. But they got no chance. It's another tune-up against minor leaguers for him tonight. Eric Hosmer doesn't want to go there and be terrible, and he knows I could turn this down. So what happens is they work the deal without Hosmer, but now they got to move Hosmer. Now you can't keep him in the room. Now you got to get rid of him. So they got to work out a trade where if they're paying all the money, so they got to try and get basically a player to be named later or some kind of something in a deal where somebody wants Eric Hosmer on the roster. They'll find a place for him, but he refused to go to DC. Imagine how awkward, if it takes a couple of days to move Hosmer, how awkward that's going to be, him walking back in the clubhouse and being, hey, boys.
Well, it's listen.
Forgot my keys.
But a lot of what happened with the team last year, many people thought Hosmer and all the trade rumors around him and his reaction to that was why the team sort of had a chemistry implosion last year.
He was the leak.
Yeah.
Look,
so you're saying that he's not going to go to Washington because it's on the no trade list, but they're going to find somebody to take him, even though they're going to pay him. What's the Padres' last move? Could they just outright release him and pay him? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean they could. They could do that if they want to. I mean, look, I saw the Mets do it with Robinson Cano when they had way more left on the contract, and at least Eric Hosmer is predominantly known as a good dude and has been a productive player at least since I started getting gray. I mean, it's been forever since Robinson Cano, and they ate all that money, right? By the way, he just got released again this time by the Braves. I don't think you'll see Cano anytime soon.
Traded.
Don't you know?
$1.
But I think for Hosmer, the last year, just going back to that, and I'm not trying to get on Jace Tingler, but just to give you kind of from A, what I heard, and B, what my perspective is on all of this, that was a leadership issue. You can go back to Fernando Tatis Jr. swinging 3-0, and you're basically telling me I'm Klay Thompson, I got an open jumper, right? But I'm not going to take it because it's too easy. Like, think about how stupid that is. And the idea that even happened in the first place, there were so many things that were at play that were disrupting the leadership there that I don't think you could put that on necessarily the rumors with Hosmer. I do think, however, that there was certainly an Eric Hosmer who led the Kansas City Royals and was trying to come in and help the kids. Manny Machado, who could be difficult to deal with. And there was a lot at play. But that's why Bob Melvin is like, I don't know what music I want to listen to, what kind of a mood I'm in. And all of a sudden, here comes Let It Be by the Beatles. And I don't care who you are. You can like rap music, you like country music. It's like, I'm not turning that off. I kind of feel good. That's Bob Melvin. I mean, he makes everything else
think about
feel better.
Think about Bob Melvin right now. For all these years in Oakland, where there were no fans in the stands, there was no money to be spent, and he was just trying to use Scotch tape to put a roster together and put a team on the field and doing it well, by the way. To all of a sudden go to San Diego when nobody knew he was available. It was a shocker to everybody when the Padres got Bob Melvin. And by all accounts from the players, he is the reason for the much better chemistry so far this year. If you're Bob Melvin, you went from single A to the Yankees. given what the A's are versus who the Padres are today, right? I mean, kind of, sort of. We lost Casey for a minute. We lost Casey's mic
Muted
for a
that
minute
mic.
here.
I got you.
All right. All right, there you are.
I'm so excited listening to all the Bob. I mean, he went from the outhouse to the penthouse is basically
Yeah.
what I'm thinking about
Right.
with Bob Melvin, right?
Yep.
And I go back to specifically, and I remember doing it because I was doing the postseason with TBS at the time. There was an August where on the 8th of August, and they were 30 games over 500, even after the deadline. But this was the deadline where they traded, and who thought, this deal would happen? By the way, you talk about crazy deals. Cespedes for John Lester. What a weird buyer. That's one of the weirdest deals that's ever happened at a deadline. But the whole team implodes. You got a 7-3 lead in the postseason, and Terrence Gore is still stealing bases on John. I mean, it's amazing how that all took place. But Bob Melvin has had to make excuses to his team for why ownership won't do anything over and over again. Imagine the difference in the culture over the next couple of hours and days of what he's going to experience in that room and the energy it builds. It's why you hear Jose Bautista when he complained way back when with the Jays. The next year, they made all the moves to get into the playoffs first time in 20 years. It's why Seattle went for Castillo, haven't been there in 21 years. When you get a chance to push that pedal and you could take a fan base and the team inside and say, I believe in you, you got to make that push. So good for the Padres.
And I remember like a week ago, maybe less, when Bob kept putting Taylor Rogers out there. And I came on here, I was like, Bob, what are you doing? Like, stop. Maybe he was playing chess. Maybe he was just showing AJ, like, you got to get rid of this guy, dude. I'm going to keep putting him out there, and he's going to keep blowing games. And now it manifested into Josh Hader. Like, that's the crazy thing. Like, so now Josh Hader, I know he had a little, like, was it 2 or 3 bad games in a row that really bumped his ERA up. But what do you think about Josh Hader coming to San Diego?
I mean, I love Hader. First of all, I got to give the Brewers credit because even though people will look at this and say the Brewers are in a market where really they can't do what other teams do, right? So we got to at least understand that. But David Stearns, it's not because basically I just leave off the S for savings and his name's sort of the same. But he did a great job with this team because they got Devin Williams and no one else had. Like, no one else has to me, the best 3 closers in the game have been, and I don't even think it's close to everybody else. Yeah, Class A in Cleveland, you got Diaz, you got Sugar in New York, and you got Hader now in San Diego, right? But Devin Williams at times has been the best reliever in baseball. He's just not the closer. Most teams can't do that, where they can then make a trade, get 3 guys. I don't have a lot of money in this system, right? I go and get 3 guys, and I got Devin Williams, who, by the way, has pitched better than Hader this year, and I just bump him down and go that way. So kudos to the Brewers, but I think it's a huge deal. I think the thing that you have to watch now that you're going to get to see Hader every day, we saw twice that late in the season he got really tired. And the one year where Corey Knebel went down and then came back real late, where the Dodgers and Justin Turner hit a Game 7 homer when Machado was on the Dodgers, actually, right? When they made that run and the Brewers were really, really close. Brewers had a 3-2 lead in that series in the LCS. Hader was terrible in that series in the last couple of weeks because he throws so darn hard and he's such a max effort guy that they overused him too many times with these 4 and 5 out deals because it's too enticing. Nobody can hit the guy. So when he's going dead on, you're thinking, I got the Dodgers in August, right? I want to win this game. I'm going 6 outs. How Bomel uses him is important because your goal, if you're a Padres fan, is I'm not winning the division. I got to win when I get in. That's when you need Hader to blow the doors off and go win a series for you, where he gives like 6 out saves back-to-back in a game 4 and 5, let's say, right, to go win a series. They got to really be careful with him because in the 2 times that we've watched him go deep into a postseason, he got really tired both times.
Casey Stern is here this afternoon having a conversation about what the Padres have done. Truly amazing. Really is incredible. So now if you get Soto into this lineup and you get Bell into the lineup, then the next piece that Padre fans are waiting for is going to be Tatis. And apparently, according to the early reports, he's hitting off a AAA pitcher, first at bat, single, second at bat, home run. So rehab assignment coming, and then the infusion of Tatis back into this lineup. So Casey, what do you think is going to happen? We got about 2 minutes to go.
Well, I think, clearly you got to bubble wrap him as much as possible because this is a guy who, plays like his hair's on fire. And you got to be careful with the injuries like we're discussing here, where you don't go too fast, right? He's going to want to be ready. So, go at your pace. The way the Mets are handling DeGrom, I know it's a pitcher, but the difference maker that Tatis is. Where the difference maker of DeGrom. You got to make sure those guys are ready in October, even though with Tatis, obviously, it's a much longer term that he'll be there with this team. But I think when we're looking at Tatis Jr. and Soto, this is not going to be usually we've seen the 3-4 in the middle of an order. That's the way all of us grew up, right? It's not that way where it may be 1-2 in an order here. But left, right, we've seen some, dominant duos over the course of our lifetime, and none better, and I covered them every day, than watching Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz in their prime, right? And those two guys were brilliant. But how about watching Fernando Tatis Jr. and Soto, who probably will hit back-to-back in a batting order, even if it's only for the next 2+ years? That is, if there ever was a Wayne's World, it's like climbing the rope in gym class. If you're a baseball fan, a Padre fan, you'd be climbing that rope every single night watching those two guys back-to-back in a lineup.
Casey Stern is here. Casey, you got a few more minutes or no?
Yeah, I got time. Yeah.
Okay. Hold on, everybody. Casey Stern is here. You can visit him on Twitter at Casey Stern. 12 years on MLB Network Radio on Sirius XM. A lot of people know Casey from his work for Turner Sports and inside the NBA when he would fill in for Ernie Johnson. So baseball is his area of expertise, and the Padres have pulled off one of the all-time craziest trades that we've ever seen. Like to just keep the conversation going for a couple more minutes. Casey Stern is here. We're in the 7 Mile Casino studio. This is Kaplan and Crew with Grande and the Brown Man.
I'm tax attorney Adam Brewer. If you have a serious tax problem with the IRS or state of California, then you don't need a tax relief company, you need a tax attorney. Call or visit my website to schedule your free tax evaluation.
You're watching Kaplan and Crew tonight, powered by the mightier 1090 AM, ESPN Radio, and Your View, featuring the best sports talk in SoCal.
The Rich Eisen Show airs Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. An engaging blend of insightful football expertise with an offbeat mix of humor and pop culture while continuing to attract the most recognizable names in sports and entertainment. Only on the mightier 1090 ESPN Radio, SoCal Sports Talk.
I'm tax attorney Adam Brewer. If you have a serious tax problem with the IRS or state of California, then you don't need a tax relief company, you need a tax attorney. Call or visit my website to schedule your free tax evaluation.
Please welcome 4 of the 5 San Diego County Teachers of the Year from the 2021-2022 school year. From Central Elementary School, Laura Reyes. From Westfield High School, Tiffany Jokers. From San Jose Elementary School, Jacqueline Jordan. And from St. Joe Chavez Middle School, Todd Sanders. Teachers, please deliver the pitch. San Diego County Teachers of the Year with their honorary pitch.
I thought I was okay. I had a degree, I had work experience. I should be able to provide for my kids. But they're just things that you don't plan on in life.
My husband got laid off, and we are a family of 5.
My mom was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I would ask the doctors, what can I do? And they would just say, just make sure she's eating. Our lives just changed completely. Thank God that we always had a plate of food.
I'm tax attorney Adam Brewer. If you have a serious tax problem with the IRS or state of California, then you don't need a tax relief company, you need a tax attorney. Call or visit my website to schedule your free tax evaluation.
Listen to the Mike Greenberg Show, 7 to 9 a.m. Pacific, Monday through Friday. Greeny brings his unmatched depth of sports knowledge, fun, and entertainment back to ESPN on a daily basis. The Mightier 1090 ESPN Radio, SoCal Sports Talk, and the Mightier1090.com.
Here's Kaplan and Crew tonight's 60-second timeout with Haley Stasiak.
Let's go ahead and take a look at your San Diego Padres baseball updates.
Scott and the crew will have more tonight on the Padres' blockbuster trade for Juan Soto. But how about going all in before the trade deadline for the Friars? San Diego also acquired Josh Bell in that trade with the Nationals. In a trade with the Reds, the Padres acquired infielder Brandon Drury, and the Friars got their closer in a deal with the Brewers, bringing in Josh Hader. Oh, and we can't forget that San Diego signed Joe Musgrove to a 5-year deal on Monday as well. Lots to unpack with what the Padres dealt ahead of the trade deadline, so stay tuned for more.
That's your 60-second timeout. Now back to more Kaplan and Crew tonight.
Kaplan and Crew tonight's 60-second timeout is presented by Your View. You're watching Kaplan and Crew tonight, powered by the Mightier 1090 AM, ESPN Radio, and Your View, featuring the best sports talk in SoCal.
What's going on to all the great friends that watch the show on television here on Cox Your View? What you're about to see will never be heard on radio, won't be seen on YouTube, no audio podcast. This is just for you here on Cox Your View. Hey to all the great friends out there that watch on Cox Your View. You might be in San Diego, Orange County, LA, Santa Barbara. We're happy to have everybody here. What we love to do in this time is it's a Cox exclusive. This is stuff you're only going to see here on Cox. Not going to hear this on radio on 1090. Not going to see it on our YouTube channel. Not going to hear it on any of the audio podcast platforms. This is just for you guys that watch on Cox Your View. A really big show coming to the Scottish Rites Event Center in Mission Valley in San Diego. If you love trading sports memorabilia or buying or selling, this is going to be the place for you. It's coming up on August 6th and 7th. And here's the guy running the entire operation. Here's Joe Oliveri, known to his friends as Joe O from SD Collectibles, who's running this show. Hey, Joe, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, Scott. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Let's talk about this. Tell us about why people need to know about your show, SD Collectibles, on August 6th and 7th.
Well, we have a great show coming up August 6th and 7th at the Scottish Rite Event Center, like you had mentioned, right there in Mission Valley. We have over 130 tables that'll be at this show. We also have Paul Lowe signing autographs on Saturday. We have Steve Garvey and Raleigh Fingers, which will be there on Sunday doing in-person autographs. We just have a really great collection of some of the biggest and best of the community, the card collecting community, coming out there August 6th and 7th, showing their cards, showing their collectibles. There'll be a lot of memorabilia out there. And really what we look at it as is something for every collector.
Yeah, when you say every collector, is it, from what I understand and looking at the website, sdcollectibles.com, it's not just purely sports cards. Is that right?
That's correct, Scott. We have sports cards, memorabilia, autographed items, quite a few unique autographed items and memorabilia. But we also have Pokemon, a large selection of Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering. There'll be vendors there that have comic books. As I mentioned, there's several autograph signers that will be there. We also have JSA, which will be on site for both Saturday and Sunday, doing in-person authentication, same-day services.
Well, that's awesome because for me, the one thing I know I'm most interested in, and I know a lot of people who are watching right now have the same thing. If you've got a piece of sports memorabilia that you are willing to part with, but you don't have authentication, like I have this Marshall Faulk football, the year that he broke the record where he was over 1,000 yards rushing and receiving for the Rams in 2000. I've also got this basketball sitting right here that is signed by every Los Angeles Laker of the 2002 World Championship team. So Shaq, Kobe, Phil Jackson. I don't really honestly know if they're authentic. I think they are. It's just I don't have the paperwork. So I can bring this stuff to your show and get it authenticated on site. Is that right?
That's correct. You can bring your autographed items, whether it's memorabilia such as those basketballs, footballs, baseballs, bats, cards, photos. You can bring them right to the show Saturday or Sunday. Stop by the JSA booth. Chris would be happy to help you there. He'll be on site with his team, and they can authenticate different items that you have that have autographs so that you can find out, one, if it's real, and two, it just gives it that much more value when it is authenticated.
What if I get it authenticated and I want to sell it? Is there a way for a private person like myself? I say private, I mean, like, I'm not in the business. Can I sell this stuff?
Yeah, you sure can. There's a couple different ways to do that. I mean, obviously, there's some online ways to do that take a lot of time and a whole different set of really procedures. But one of the great things that you can do, we have tables available and we have options for everyone. We do have some vendor tables available, 6, 8, and 12-foot tables. You can bring your items down there to sell. You can bring your cards, your memorabilia, and so on. If you have some memorabilia items like you're showing there, Scott, you can get them authenticated right at JSA, bring them over to your table, and you can put them out there for all of the attendees to see and see if you can make a deal on selling it or possibly trading it for something that you have a little more interest in.
All right. Well, while you're talking, I know Alex is putting up on the screen for everybody the website. It's sdcollectibles.com, sdcollectibles.com. Information about where, when, who's going to be there signing autographs, how you can get authenticated, how you can buy a table and space if you want to sell your own collection. Joe, this is going to be a fun show. This is going to be really cool. Give us any final thoughts, things you need people to know before you roll.
Well, one of the great things is it's a family-friendly event. When you come to our shows, you'll see a lot of people, both the parents and the kids, showing them around because there's something for everyone. There's bargain boxes of cards that are anywhere from 50 cents to $1 up. And then if you're one of those bigger collectors that likes to find those unique cards, maybe those graded cards, those Gem Mint 10, there's going to be thousands and thousands of those on display, as well as what's called the trading card game, the TCG, with Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, and so on, comic books, as I mentioned, autographed memorabilia and such. If I could give a special thank you to some of those in our community that have helped support our event. Stacked Packs, big supporter and sponsor of our event. Poke Familia, J-Lo Collectibles, SD Sportsmen, and OC Dugout. Those folks really helped support our event, and they'll be at the show. So if you have an opportunity to come out and attend, come by and say hello to those folks that have vendor tables set up.
Joe, it sounds like it's going to be a great event on August 6th and 7th. The website is SD Collectibles, and we'll see you down there. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Locally owned and operated, not some bland, uninspired, corporate, cookie-cutter radio station crap. We simply say to those stations, Q. The mightier 1090 ESPN Radio, SoCal Sports Talk.
I'm tax attorney Adam Brewer. If you have a serious tax problem with the IRS or state of California, then you don't need a tax relief company, you need a tax attorney. Call or visit my website to schedule your free tax evaluation.
Home of Guiding Hands helps San Diego community in that we're a resource for families. A lot of times when families first identify that their child, their loved one, might have an intellectual or developmental disabilities, they don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. And we're here to help guide people through that process, to show them what a thriving life their loved one can have. It's a passion I share, having a daughter with a disability.
I really love the place that I live at. Because of Home of Guiding Hands, I was able to move out of my parents' house and into a beautiful home that I love living in. And so like if you have an independent living service coordinator, they will help you like learn more about being independent, and they help guide you through different things. They've helped me with lots of encouragement and love. They've also given me an ILS worker who is an amazing person, and I love her so much. She's great. I could tell you the first, I think, week or so, I wasn't feeling very confident in myself. The first couple of nights I was like, oh, this is scary. But I look back on it now and I'm like, this is so easy.
Main Street Living celebrates diverse abilities in partnership with Home of Guiding Hands, supporting the special needs community for over 55 years.
Thank you for joining us. Catch Scott Kaplan and crew tonight from 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific every Monday through Friday. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and crew show on the mightier 1090 AM ESPN Radio, SoCal Sports Talk.
Cougars team taking on